Hey guys, and welcome to Talking with the Talent. And you may notice that Brian is not here right now, and you may be wondering what the random idiot from, I think it was the third interview, is doing here. But Brian asked me, Bobby Calloway, to take over for a while, and so here I am. And I don't quite know how to introduce my guest today because from what I've heard and what I've read, he's quite an extraordinary human being. So welcome, Ken Boggle.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever been called an extraordinary human being in an interview before. So this is already a great thing that we're doing. This is already a good start.
Oh, well, I figure you are the best person to introduce yourself. So why don't you tell everyone else who you are and what you're about?
Perfect. So my name is Ken Boggle, and I have been reading the tarot and doing psychic mediumship readings for 28 years. I started when I was 8 years old, and I started with a deck of poker cards. And then my grandmother introduced me to the tarot. Again, I was like 8.
Mhm.
And since then, I've shuffled the cards and helped people deal with insanely difficult times in their life, and also help them heal from the loss of loved ones. And also read for a couple of really great celebrities who've taken
Mhm.
my advice and done amazing projects,
Mhm.
as well as other talent. In fact, there's a young man in England named Michael David Roberts. He and I would talk often about his career, and now he's taken off and doing amazing production work. And he had a series on YouTube called Morbid. So anyway, I do all kinds of various different things. And now I have a show called Tarot Date. It's on a online platform, which is vidi.space. And it's called Tarot Date with Ken Boggle. And it's really picking up. It's going really well. So that's what I do. I read cards, I help people, and I film things.
Oh yeah, and because I can remember the first time I ever got a reading, I think I was in maybe 14 or 15, and obviously, stressful teenage years, everything's terrible. You're whining about everything, and you think everything, the world's gone to. Sorry, I'm not going to curse on this, but I just remember it was in my local pub, and yeah, there was a woman there reading the cards, and she read my cards for me, and I felt so much better afterwards. I can remember that feeling, sort of like it was almost like a feeling of peace and relief that kind of came
Mhm.
over me, and it lasted for at least a whole day, and that was something I was not used to feeling at the turbulent teenage years. So
Well, a lot of people do have that experience. Some people they kind of get the first tarot reading as sort of a joke, maybe, or even just to sort of have fun. And it's a weirdly interesting party trick to some people. And what happens is they find out that in that process they're actually hearing really great information, or they're learning something about themselves, or just like you, they're able to kind of go beyond their turbulent teenage drama and have a moment of like clarity, which is really cool. So
mhm,
yeah, I hear that a lot. In fact,
really.
I used to do readings in bars. What one particular reading that I did was at a baby shower, which was at a bar in a pub, and I believe the place was called the Madam, and I was there reading cards, and it was a baby shower. The mother was wonderful. We connected with the spirit of her deceased grandmother, and she just thought it was such an amazing way to spend a baby shower.
Mhm,
And so she was happy, I was happy, the people who paid me were happy, so we were good to go. It's a weird thing that tarot can do all that. Yeah.
mhm. And you were drawn to it from a very young age. You said you were 8 when you
Yeah.
sort of started.
Yeah. Well, everyone in our family had very every one of the family illustrated intuitive talent. Everybody. And some of my sisters, well, two of my sisters, they sort of dabbled with it, not in terms of cards, but just the fact that they had some kind of secret premonition or secret knowledge or clairvoyant dreams and things like this. And I was the only one to actually go to my grandmother and say, okay, can you sort of help me deal with it? In fact, she said to me first, you're obviously different. You're a lot like your granny, and we need to talk. So we need to
Hmm.
sort it out what you're doing. And at that time, I was experiencing, we had moved into this house. In the backyard, there was a really old cemetery, so old that the headstones were actually just stones. they'd been withered away or chiseled out or whatever time had done to them, and or just that the families didn't have money to buy a headstone. Anyway, I would lay in my bed and I would look out my doorway and I would watch people walk by, and they were dead, and it was terrifying, and I would cry all the time. And finally I said to my grandmother, I can't take that. What do we do about it? And that's when she said, we have to also work on protecting you and helping you deal with processing that, because if you don't, it's going to make you crazy. So yeah, that's how it all started. It was my granny.
Mm-hmm. And so she would have been experienced with it, would she? Yeah.
Well, I mean, she had tremendous experience with it. It was in the Appalachia Mountains. There's a culture that is deeply rooted in Native American or indigenous peoples' culture. And also there is there's a strong Christian following there. I think most of everybody in the Appalachian Mountains at that time were Christian based, but they melted together in this indigenous people's tradition. It's sort of what they call mountain witchery. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're from the mountains and you're this lady who lives in the mountains, and you're doing all the things that they would do, witchcraft kind of things. But to us, it was just like, oh, you put these herbs together and it heals this, and you do these, and kind of a midwife sort of thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
mountain witchery, and it was. I think it's the only form of the other form of a life path other than Christianity that's even remotely acceptable back there. I think so. Yeah, her grandmother was Cherokee, and I think she took a lot of the instruction from her. So it's great. It's a wonderful thing, and it's passed down through the family in a really beautiful way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you said you first started using a regular deck of poker cards.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how would you use that to represent it?
Okay, so with poker cards, it's really interesting. My Aunt Caroline used to come over for poker night. She would read for my mother and my sisters, but for me, she would tell me kind of how to work it. So you'd have the hearts, which were, if you're going to use it in tarot, would be the cups, things about
Oh yeah,
emotion, things like that. You have the spears, which translate to
swords was it?
swords, and then
Yeah.
all those others, and then you have the same sort of the queen, king, those sorts of things. Only in the tarot do you get a page, or sometimes it's a princess or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a difference. Without the major arcana, which are the emperor and the devil and
Mm-hmm.
uh, all those things, judgment and the
Yeah.
world. You don't get the same sort of reading that you do with tarot, but it was a wonderful way just to get started.
Mm-hmm.
I think I predicted that my mother's friend was going to meet a tall, dark stranger or something like that, and he was actually a great big love affair of hers. And I don't think I was any more than 9 when I did that. It was wonderful. It's a great weird thing to do with a poker card deck.
And then so did you always kind of want to go into business doing that, or was it just it was something that kind of happened along the way?
I never, I did not think that people could make a living doing tarot. My family was very pragmatic in that there was no foolishness. It was extremely difficult. In fact, my father didn't even know that his mother was training me to do these things. In fact, he'd have lost his patience, for lack of a better word, had he known. Um, we in our family, you were successful if you went to college, which was a pipe dream for all of us. None of the children thought we would, because we were really poor. We were really bad off. Others had it worse, but we were in terrible shape. So it was just, do you have a job? Great. Well, you're successful at life. Don't go outside the norm. In retrospect, I wish that at 15 years old, I had that family member that did say, okay, actually, this is all right, and you're doing an amazing job, and you can help people, and this is your path. I wish I had that, because now I would have done it, my whole life, and I would have been helping people my whole life, which would really have done something amazing to me. So maybe in the next life, I'll go ahead and follow my own path a little bit earlier. But even now, trying to make a living doing tarot is difficult. So I do still keep a day job. And I also think that day job keeps you humble and keeps you outside of existing as just this bubble of intuitive knowledge. You have to actually clock in, and you have to actually work. Although I don't do strenuous work, I'm often a salon manager of some sort, or a spa manager of some kind, or a supervisor in that way. But yeah, I keep the day job just because making a living at tarot is, especially in troubled economic times, difficult.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a friend who actually just recently started advertising that she was doing tarot readings over Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Lots of people do. In fact, there's a hashtag tarot readers of Instagram that's sort of trending. I think that there's maybe an oversaturation of readers. I think when you add up the people who are just regular clairvoyants, people who do mediumship, people who do runes, or people who do shaman work, and then tarot reading, all that metaphysical stuff, it seems like possibly we've saturated the market. Uh, However, I think if everybody's doing their best to help everybody else, I don't care if any of us make a dime, as long as we're helping people. That's really all that matters. That is. Go get a day job if you can't make it, but still go help people with your deck of cards in your off time, you know?
Hmm. That's a great attitude to have, though.
I think it's vitally important that we do it, because the world's on
Mhm.
fire. I mean, America's on fire. America's in terrible shape. I mean, I don't know if you know that.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
think your
impossible
eye,
not to pay attention to it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's clear now to the entire world that politicians in America aren't going to make it any better. In fact, they're making it worse. And I think it's clear to the world that in America, we have really crossed a boundary of hating each other. Like it's supposed to be the world's greatest melting pot, but yet we refuse to melt. And I think in times like this, and also facing what the world's facing with the COVID virus and those types of things, I think that it's exceptionally important that we all do what we can do, whether it's doing readings to help people or not. Just to help someone any way you can is extremely important. No one else is going to save us but each other.
Yeah, I just keep. Oh, you're gonna think I'm such an idiot for making this reference, but just keep thinking of. Did you see the live action Cinderella remake from Disney a few years ago?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just well, they did a really interesting thing with the character where it's kind of they show that obviously Cinderella's she's kind, she's kind to everyone, and it's kind of shown as like that's the kind of the main thing keeping her going, and she keeps saying,
Yeah.
kindness is free, it doesn't cost anything, and
Right.
that it makes her feel better, so she does
Yeah.
that, and she makes everyone else feel better as well, and that kind of really resonated with me, me
Yeah.
personally anyway.
Yeah, but isn't it funny that a fairy tale movie is where we're now getting we have to dig it, our positivity and our optimism and our good advice from anywhere we can get it.
Hmm.
So absolutely, yeah. In fact, to make it even weirder, to make an even odder, rather an odder, or more intensely weird reference. I was watching The Lion King, the live action Lion King, and Scar had taken control of Pride Rock. And I looked over to my partner and I said, "That's the White House. Scar's in the White House, and we're all going to die if it doesn't stop." So yeah, and weird point. Then I'll wrap up this whole point because I know I ramble, but
Oh no,
I,
it's great, I love this.
years ago I had a good, thank you. Years ago was doing an interview and someone said, and this is years ago, prior to Trump ever winning as a president, which by the way I did predict. I also predicted Justin Bieber would fall off the world and end up in trouble, and also that Kanye West would lose his mind. So this is how long ago that was. Um, that someone had said to me, What on earth is it going to take for America to get back on track?" And I remember saying in that interview that I felt that it would take something far worse than 9/11, that it would take something far worse. And I think, sadly, we're in the middle of what I predicted right now. We're
Mhm.
living it right now. I think on the other side of this, we will have changed, but I think the worst is yet to come. Um, so hopefully we'll get Scar out of the White House. Hopefully we'll all find a way to at least tolerate each other again, and maybe be less selfish. That would be lovely.
Oh yeah. Well, since we're continuing with the Disney theme, like my favorite film is it's one that's not very liked in America, but we love it in Europe. It's Pocahontas.
Yes, Pocahontas is wonderful.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just because Irene Bedard, who voiced Pocahontas, followed me on Twitter last year, and I was like a 13-year-old girl.
Why wouldn't you have been? Of course you would have been. Why not? Yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I love that line. She throws herself on him to stop the execution, and she says, "Look around you. This is where the path of hatred has brought us."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, try to keep a clean mouth, but Patrick O'Malley knows that I'm foul. Um, uh,
I live in Ireland. It's fine.
oh, wonderful. Ireland's, I would
C word is
love
like a comma to us.
Yeah, yeah. And I love it. In America, people are so uptight about that, you know. However, I will say that there's a culture or a population of people who follow me on like Facebook that tune into things like I did this morning. Every Sunday, I do coffee with Ken Boggle, and they're all various different walks of life. However, they all allow me just to be foul, you know. But anyway, I was saying, just to your point, that this is where the path of hatred has brought us. And you know, I think that sometimes we're all trying our best, maybe even putting our heads in the sand to avoid the fact that we're staring down the barrel of something horrible, and it's not getting better. In fact, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And racial tension's terrible, and societal hatred for different various groups is, I don't think it's ever been this bad since I've been alive, and it was never good before that, you know. So I don't, it's a very interesting time, and I'm really happy to have my show out now and to be doing readings again,
Mhm.
so that I can help people get through it. I think it's important to do that.
Oh yeah, so we'll talk about your show actually. Tarot Date. That's you're on second season now, is it?
Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
second season. So the first season was done, it was filmed and broadcast live.
Oh right.
We used wireless internet connections to film a season of a show, and at the same time use the same routers and modems to then upload it at you know at concurrent. We were filming it live and it was playing live on the internet. Horrible idea, because the internet's not reliable. And when you're putting 6 wireless cameras and microphones into these things, you're taking up all of the speed of the internet. Anyway, the season 1 could have been summarized by just one great big buffering screen, just in constant. So I hope no one ever sees season 1. It was garbage from a production standpoint. Season 2, they Elizabeth Saint from Travel Channel and Nick Groff from Destination American Travel Channel, they were clients of mine. They started Vidi.space, and they asked me to do season 2, and they made me an executive producer. So my first thing was, I don't want to travel anymore. I want to find a fabulous location very close to my home so that I can knock out an entire season in less than 24 hours. I mean, entire season less than 48 hours. They said, where would you like to do it? And I said, a beautiful castle. It's the only castle in Kentucky. I think we should go there and do it. We rented a turret in this castle, and we filmed 9 episodes, and it was all done in less than 36 hours. So it was all pre-recorded. Then Elizabeth Saint, one of the other executive producers, she went ahead and she edited it, and she's actually still working on it, because some of the most amazing electronic voice phenomena and disembodied voices and things like this had been picked up, and it's caused quite a bit of difficulty to edit it, because she's intricately trying to not only showcase what happens, but also illustrate that human beings can speak to those who are no longer with us, and to do that tastefully is difficult. So it's every Friday night, with some exceptions. There will not be one this Friday, the 18th of September. However, um, if you get a Vidi Space subscription or you buy the episodes, they're available on demand. So you can go ahead and catch up episode 1 or episode 2. And I don't know if you've seen them, but they are intense, really intense.
So for me, as someone who I sadly haven't seen them yet, but I definitely think I will be checking them out after talking to you. So
Yeah.
what can we expect? Would you say, or is that the
See,
right question to ask?
yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. No, it's a beautiful question. Thank you. So, what you can expect is, you can expect, and by the end of the season, you will expect to have 9 episodes full of stories and people that are absolutely recognizable. You or someone you know is going through something relatable to every story that you're going to see. You're going to expect to see a lot of heartbreak. I myself was filmed crying for the first time ever on camera, and it was a harrowing sort of a thing. I don't know if harrowing is the right word. It was heartbreaking for sure, to sit there and realize that here I am trying to help people through these difficult moments, the loss of a father even, and battling addiction and battling judgment. The first episode is a nurse who is wrongfully convicted of manslaughter.
Oh.
And in that episode, there is audible evidence that the man who, the patient that died, does not blame her, and that we actually sauce out who the real murderer was, a nurse that committed suicide the next day with the medication that she didn't give the patient. She overdosed. So those kinds of things are it's not fake. Those are
Mhm.
real people. It's real news clippings, and it's people telling their stories using tarot to sort of sort through it and to make closure for it. You're gonna find that this show is extremely impactful, highly emotional, both in the happiness way and also in the not so happy. It's
Mhm.
pretty balanced by the end of it.
Mhm. Oh, I hope everyone who came to see you was able to get something out of it anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I had a private viewing party because of the pandemic. We were not able to rent a great big hall. Normally, I go above and beyond to kind of. I'm sort of known for going to the extreme of extravagance, and but due to pandemic, we had to do a private viewing party, which was still done to the extreme of extravagance. It was still pretty fantastic. Anyway, so the nurse was episode 1. Her name's Maria. Wonderful, amazing, lovely woman. She was actually there with us while we were watching it. She was a guest that evening at the party, and we couldn't even look at each other through the whole thing. We were just sobbing through the whole thing because this was the first time she was expressing what was happening. So yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And I think that having given her the chance to tell her story from her perspective, and then having the tarot confirm that she was never the one that did it, and then having the spirit of the patient tap and knock in response to us saying, it's not your fault, it wasn't you. I think it elevated her life level in an extraordinary way, because one day you're a mother and you're a nurse, and the next day you're in prison. I mean, that's heartbreaking, and it's scary as hell. So yeah, she got quite a bit out of it, quite a bit, and I think everyone in all the episodes did.
Yeah, it's so cool that you're able to do that for people.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you can do that. It's that we everybody who's involved in it, that we all did it for those who are on film. But I think it's my goal and ambition for that film and those episodes to then be viewed by people that maybe I'll never even meet, and maybe change their life in some way. Maybe I can make their lives better. Maybe I can bring them some closure or heal their heart. If I can achieve that all over the world, then I will have achieved the reason why God put me here, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think I remember. I used to be like a massive wrestling fan anyway, and yeah, I was listening to an interview with beautiful former wrestler called Tori Wilson, and she mentioned that she was starting up I think a personal training business, and
Mm,
she said that at first she was worried about what would happen if she failed, and then she told herself that even if it's only one person, I only have one client, but I still help them. That's still one person. That's still a whole person's life you've helped just through you
yeah.
existing and doing your thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm never going to have children,
Hmm.
that's not in my wheelhouse.
Hmm.
I don't think that I have anything other than this to give to the world. Because I think that when great people have great children, it's a gift to the world, because
Hmm.
they positively affect the society and the environment, or in a universal energetic way. Since I can't manage that, I hopefully will be able to change people's lives through what I'm doing. That's
Hmm.
like the key. Um, as in terms of making it successful, I think that you have to determine what your level, and this is with any actor or someone who's involved in the arts. I think if you have a project, you have to first understand what your real level of success is going to be measured by.
Hmm.
And for me, I've already achieved it. I've already achieved it. So anything beyond this, getting it to the world, would just be life altering for me, and them as well, I hope. So I think at the end of the day, we help the people who are on film, we help the people at home who are watching it, and everybody else, we get to distract them from all the bull that's happening in the world. We did a great thing, that's a
Hmm.
great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember I heard a while ago something like the definition of success is that one other life has lived easier because you yourself have lived.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. That's beautiful. I'm gonna have to steal that from you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to reference this. And now my friend Bobby Conway said this. Bobby Calloway said this. This is exactly what Bobby said. They'll say, no, he didn't. And I'll say, I have to introduce you to my friend Bobby. So anyway, yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And before we wrap up, do you have any other projects or anything else you'd like to promote out there?
I always love to promote Tarot Date. You know, if you can
Mm-hmm.
go to vidi.space, vidi space, and subscribe or pay-per-view. If all you do is watch the second episode of the second season, if that's all you do, I think that you will see what we're really trying to accomplish. I do promote it also because it is the first time in television history that a show has ever been centered around the tarot. It's never been done before. We're two
Really? Yeah.
episodes deep into
Mm-hmm.
it, so that's we have shaped. VidiSpace has allowed me to shape the culture of it in some way. Also, I think I like to promote it because it's a great way to showcase that it's not as witchy and evil as people as people say, or it is rumored to be. It's actually a life-changing tool that's exceptional. So I do always want to promote the show, but I do want to promote as well my social media. So if you Google Ken Boggle, Boggle, it'll take you to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the nutshell of that is there's so many different things I do, like a Sunday morning coffee with Ken Boggle, where we just sit around, we talk foul, we tell cute stories. I do a tarot weekly forecast, or if it's seeing the paintings that I do, and maybe picking one of those up for yourself, those kinds of things. Just I like to promote that social media because it's another way that I hope I'm altering society in a more positive way.
Mm. Oh, that is perfect.
Thank you, Bobby.
Sorry, yes. What you're saying is just so inspiring. I just keep forgetting what I'm supposed to say.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great compliment. Thank you, Bobby.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I do have the language skills of a garden topiary, so.
Not a topiary. That's fantastic.
Now, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, I always like to end everything by saying I hope people take care of themselves and better care of each other, because at the end of the day, we are our brother's keeper, and it's vitally important that we love each other. So thank you for this opportunity, and I hope everybody at home has enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Hopefully I did okay filling in for Brian and Jack. So hopefully, well, this was either the greatest thing ever or the biggest train wreck since the Titanic. So we'll let the viewers decide.
I think you did fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Stay safe, guys.